Picture this. The year is 1770. Captain Cook's crew lands on an unknown continent and spots a bizarre creature that looks like a giant steroid-fueled rat bouncing around like a couch spring. They ask a local, "What the hell is that thing?" And he just shrugs, saying something that sounds like kangaroo. Legend says that's how the animal got its name. A charming tourist story, but total bull. Linguists in the 1970s, researching descendants of the original Yimithir tribe, confirmed that the word kangaroo was real and actually meant a specific type of large, dark kangaroo. So Captain Cook wasn't an idiot, just a meticulous record keeper. But looking at the animal, you could believe anything absurd. Europeans' first impression was so wild that when the skin and skull of the first kangaroo were brought back to England for taxidermy, the guy, never having seen the creature alive, created something else. George Stubbs' 1772 painting shows a goddamn mashup with a deer's head and rabbit ears, as if assembled by a drunk designer. He guessed it stood on hind legs, but how exactly? Mystery. This walking paradox has shoulders like a teenage gamer and legs built like a heavyweight champ. The front paws, nearly human hands, are for delicate jobs, digging roots, scratching, or slapping enemies in the face. The back legs, they're weapons, wheels, and a curse all rolled into one, because their anatomy makes kangaroos incapable of walking backward or even normal walking. They either bounce or hobble awkwardly on their tail. Speaking of which, the tail isn't just a balance tool, it's a literal fifth leg. When chilling, the kangaroo plops down on it like a tourist chair, taking weight off its pumped but constantly tight legs. So what we have is not just Australia's symbol, but a freaky biomechanical disaster that somehow won the evolutionary lottery. From day one, it begged the question, what the actual fuck is this thing? And over 250 years later, we're still uncovering even crazier answers. Kangaroos are the only big critters hardcore enough to make hopping on two legs their go-to travel mode. Their cozy cruise speed? 12-15 mph, about the pace of a spirited cyclist. But scare the crap out of one, and that spring-loaded beast can hit up to 43 mph in short bursts. Picture an 88-kilo, 195-pound pogo stick blasting past you in a suburban zone at car speed. The secret sauce? Genius physics. Their massive back legs pack elastic tendons working like high-powered springs. When they jump, those tendons store up to 70% of energy and catapult them forward. That makes mid-speed hopping insanely energy efficient. Past 9 mph, kangaroos burn less fuel than any four-legged runner their size. Even breathing is synced to their hops. Exhale as feet lift. Inhale when landing, a living, breathing, perpetual motion machine fueled by grass. But when they're in no rush, they switch to a so-called pentapetal walk, supporting weight on front paws and tail, which acts like a tripod, then dragging their back legs forward. Looks like someone dragging a busted camera tripod. Latest research shows the tail isn't just a prop. It's a third leg with push power equal to both front paws combined. Imagine walking powered by your ass. But this biomechanics circus isn't just for escaping trouble. Male kangaroos are famed brawlers. Their fights are ritualized battles. They stand tall, grab necks, shove and wrestle, then lean on their tails to deliver crushing kicks to the opponent's gut. It's like a drunk bar fight where one dude suddenly remembers he's a taekwondo champ. One kick to the belly can gut a dingo dog. The nastiest defense kicks in water. Good swimmers, kangaroos often escape predators by diving into rivers. If a pursuer, say a dog, follows, the kangaroo can spin, grab the attacker with front paws, and literally drown it. This little demon is a hired assassin hiding behind a cute hopping act. The kangaroo's reproductive system is a biological assembly line that would make Henry Ford stand and applaud. First of all, pregnancy lasts a laughably short 27 to 40 days. What pops out isn't a baby, but a tiny, embryonic sketch. A newborn kangaroo is the size of a jelly bean, about 25 millimeters long, blind, naked, with underdeveloped back legs, but already clutching front paws. Right after birth, this tiny mountain climber blindly scrambles up mum's fur into her pouch, a trek considered Everest level for the newborn, taking 3 to 5 minutes. Once there, it clamps itself permanently onto one of 4 teats and starts growing. Here's where it gets wild. Within days after giving birth, the female is ready to mate again. She does, fertilizing a new embryo, which then immediately hits pause. This is called embryonic diapause. The frozen embryo waits in the womb until the big brother vacates the pouch. It's like having a backup item in your online shopping cart in case the first one's faulty. The kangaroo mama is a milk factory. She can produce 2 different milk types simultaneously. High-carb milk for the tiny newborn in the pouch, and high-fat milk for the bigger joey that's already poking out. Literally 2 dispensers with different products for different customers. She's basically in permanent pregnancy mode, except for one day, birthday. At once, she can juggle 3 offspring. 1 grown and roaming that still drinks milk, 1 growing in the pouch, and 1 frozen embryo on standby. This isn't a family, it's a perfectly tuned kangaroo assembly line. Under good conditions, once the eldest leaves the pouch, the frozen embryo kicks back to life and bam! A new passenger is born a month later. This system lets the species bounce back fast after droughts or disasters. The kangaroo mother isn't just a mum, she's a production manager with built-in crisis handling and a spare parts warehouse. Despite their goofball herbivore rep, kangaroos are picky gourmets with a unique digestive system. Unlike cows' 4-chamber stomachs, kangaroos have just 1 chamber. But they sometimes regurgitate chewed plants and re-munch them like bubblegum, swallowing for a final digestion round. It's not true rumination, but a more laborious workaround, resulting in a similar effect. The jaw dropper? Unlike cows, which are methane-belching climate villains, kangaroos barely release any methane. The hydrogen byproduct from stomach fermentation gets converted not into methane, but into acetate, which the body absorbs as extra energy. This biological superpower has scientists obsessed, now trying to transplant the responsible gut bacteria from kangaroos to cows. If it works, agriculture's climate damage might take a nosedive. So this hopping bag of bones might actually hold the key to saving the planet. Kangaroo social life ain't simple either. They live in groups called mobs, courts, or troops, usually 10 or more members, with complex social tiers like hoofed herds. One main ritual, nose touching and sniffing, especially when a newbie joins. It's their way of checking ID to make sure no shady characters slipped in. Courtship is cynical AF. When a male smells a ready female, he stalks her methodically, sniffing her pee to nail the cycle phase, a process involving a creepy upper lip curl called the phlegm response. If she doesn't bolt, he moves in, licking, pawing, and scratching. Post-mating, the dude skips romance and hunts for his next target. False fact, it's known. Kangaroos can go months without water in dry conditions, living solely off dew-rich grass and fruits. Reality bites. 9 out of 10 Australian wildlife road deaths involve kangaroos. Blinded by headlights, they often leap straight under wheels. Hence, many Aussie cars, especially in rural areas, sport beefy metal grills, rhubards, a grim but essential upgrade in a country where the national icon is also motorists' top nightmare. The kangaroo is Australia's walking oxymoron. On one hand, it's a national VIP icon, gracing the country's coat of arms alongside the emu, stamped on coins, emblazoned on the national airline Qantas logo. The Made in Australia brand? Golden Kangaroo. Sports teams, from rugby to soccer, name themselves after kangaroos and their smaller cousins, wallabies. This critter stars in kids' show Skippy, stars in Kipling stories, and fills souvenir shops. You'd think it lives the dream. But flip the coin, and many farmers see kangaroos as pests numero uno. Exploding in population over human-made pastures, they mow down grass meant for sheep and cattle. Australia runs official culling programs, and licensed hunters bag millions yearly. Enter another paradox. The national emblem's meat is food and even a hot export. Kangaroo meat is one of the healthiest you'll find. Just about 2% fat, rich in protein, vitamins, and conjugated linoleic acid, a compound some studies link to fighting obesity. So while some nerd out over plush kangaroos, others are ordering steaks. The meat is halal. They're herbivores, but not kosher. But the weirdest usage goes way back to Indigenous Australians, for whom kangaroos were life itself. Meat for food, skins for clothes, bones and tendons for tools. Some tribes, like the Kurnai, even used the kangaroo's seemingly useless scrotum, stuffing it with grass to craft balls for a traditional game called marngrook, one of the ancestors of modern Aussie football. Just sit on that for a sec. While the world kicked leather balls, Australia was playing football with the national symbol's damn balls. And after all this, you still think a kangaroo is just a cute hopping creature? This badass is way more complex and absurd than you ever imagined.